in Python. Now here we'll be having Python command line interface introduction. So what is an interface? It is nothing but a mediator between two people to communicate with each other easily. So we are writing Python scripts so we can make use of one interface that is nothing but Python command line interface. Now why there is a need of using an interface while programming? So, in order to instruct the computer with different commands so that our computer system should work accordingly, because finally program is nothing but a set of instructions that could be given to the computer in order to perform a specific task, isn't it? So, we can write our program in command prompt, which can also be referred to as a shell. Now what is a shell? Shell can also be called as a terminal window. Now what exactly the meaning of terminal window is? So basically a terminal window is a text only window in a graphical user interface that emulates a console. Hence, the primary function of the shell is to read commands that are typed into a console or terminal window and then execute or run them. Now, if you remember, whatever hands-on session we have taken yesterday, the same thing we did. We have done or we have started programming with the command prompts and started writing commands on the terminal. So here we have integrated development environment. Okay, so basically we can interact with Python interpreter. That means we can write and run Python code in two built-in modes. Now what are those modes? So the first one we have is a basic mode. So with the help of, in case of basic mode, we can do the programming with the help of command line or terminal. Basically, when you are working with Python, it is not recommended to go through command line mode or terminal mode. Now, the another mode that we can use is through IDE, that means Integrated Development Environment. Now, what is an IDE? So, IDE is basically an integrated development environment for Python which has interactive interpreter with editing and debugging capabilities, like as I discussed with you about VS Code, that is Visual Studio Code, which prompts you for the names of functions, color, codes, etc. etc. And that's the reason it is highly recommended for Python programming. I need not explain you more because yesterday in earlier lecture we have already gone through VS Code programming, right? We have tried some of the program there, like execution of programs via VS Code. So we already are aware with the things that how exactly programming will be taken care through IDE, that is Visual Studio Code, which will be used for Python programming. Let us here learn with the basic parts of Python. As we know, every language has its own syntax and semantics, its own data types, operators, functions, classes, and etc. So basically, all those things are required to be known by any programmer for any type of programming because they are the basic parts of Python language. Apart from this, Python do have conditional and iterative control statements as that of C. Like you may remember that we have already done conditional programming with if-else statement in Python. Then we have even worked with while loop in Python. Then we have even worked for loop in C programming. We have done already these kind of things like working with if-else statement, while loop, for loop in C programming. In the same way, even Python will also be having conditional and iterative control statements. Okay. Let us here move with the another topic, that is Python's suggested naming style, which basically defines what are all the different things that are you are going to incorporate or use in Python programming, how everything will be given with the names, whether it is variable, whether it is function, whether it is class, whether it is anything. Okay, so here we have the different naming styles used in Python. Even your Python is also a case sensitive language as that of your C, C++ and Java, etc. Here also in Python, first letter of class should always be capital. For example, in case of Java, whenever you are creating a class, then the first letter of class should always be capital. So if I wanted to write and show, then I will show you like class add. So always first letter of your class should be capital. All constants, whenever you are making use of any constants in your program, then all constants should be compulsorily written in capitals. For example, you know pi value in maths, which is always constant, and the value of pi is 3.14, isn't it? So you can write it as pi, that is always in capitals, in case if you are using it in your program. Now in Python, always remember one thing, that your function calls end with colon character. Now what is your colon character? This is your colon character. Now how to actually or basically incorporate in your programming. Now let me show you one simple example of a function. How will you write? For example, my function is add. If I have to use add function in my program, so how will I write? I'll write in a way def, that is for defined, and every function in Python will be defined with def keyword. Okay, then defined add is my function name, as every function will be given with the parenthesis in every language, so as in Python as well, and then after that we have to use colon. Okay, so this is how every function to be written in Python. Even when you write if else statement, you have to write it. This is what for function. Same thing should be used when you have to write conditional statements like if else block. Now how is that? It will be something like that. You have to write if, then you have to write a condition in the bracket. Okay, and then complete the parenthesis, give the colon, then you have to write down a statement. After statement, definitely you have to write a else. Then again you have to give the colon, and after that again you have to write down the another statement. So this is how you have to write if else block in Python. Now similarly, when you write or use any variables in a Python, okay, so variable should be given a very proper naming conventions. Okay, like if I have to tell you example how the variables to be used. For example, if you are writing a variable as, okay, this is my first example. Now the same variable you are going to use as this one. So first we'll be having the capital name as ROAD. The second one you are having with the small r, ROAD. So basically Python will, even though spelling is same, meaning is same for us, but Python will take it as a separate variables, as the way you have written is completely different. Alright, so in this way variables will be declared in Python or should be declared in Python. Now apart from all those things, indentation is having high value when you are writing Python programming, because indentation is really very much important with respect to Python. Because if you write the code with incorrect spacing, then you will never get an output. I suppose we have already done with indentation. What is indentation in the first lecture? Okay, so let me again revise it. Indentation is associated with the spacing in between the words when you are writing, or a block of code when you are writing Python program. So basically by default Python will take 4 spaces per level. Okay, and that thing will definitely see in our hands-on session, so you do not worry about that. How exactly indentation will work, we'll definitely see that. Okay, now coming to the next one, here we have introduction to variables and basic data types. Here we'll go through what is the meaning of variable or variables, and what are the basic data types to be used in Python. So basically variable is nothing but a container that contains something. Now that something can be a value or name, it can be anything. But as we have seen earlier, this variable in Python is not connected to memory location as that of other languages. When you talk about C, C++ or Java, whatever value you are going to assign in a variable, definitely it will be associated or connected to memory locations. But coming to Python, this is now how it is. Whatever variable or a particular value that has been assigned to a variable, it will be simply an assignment. It doesn't have any connection with the memory location, because if you remember, it is a basic feature of a Python that it is having automatic memory management. So in Python, variable name can be of any length. So but the restrictions are here that what it should contain. So a variable name can consist of the letters. Of course, it can have the letters from like capital A to capital Z. Then it can have letters from small a to small z. Then it can also have the digits from 0 to 9, and it will be allowing one special character, that is nothing but your underscore. Okay, but always you should remember, as in other languages also it is following the same syntax, that your variable name should never start with a digit. That means if you are trying to write the variable name is 0a, no, then it will be invalid variable name. But if you are trying to write down a1, then yes, it will be your correct variable. Alright, so this is how the variables will be declared into your. Now let us see here how exactly different variables will hold values in Python. Now as we learned in algebra, we do know how variables will be used to hold values. So generally, to assign a variable, we use the syntax like we'll be having variable name, that means any variable name is equal to, will be having the expression, that means whatever values we have to assign to particular variable, will be writing in this way. So for example, if you are writing x is equal to 2, so this will be considered as a variable declaration. That means particular variable x will be holding the value 2. But here we should know one thing, that these assignment statements will not give us any output, as it is just a way to put and assign a specific value to the variable and nothing more than that. So next we have here is how an assignment is executed. Okay, so if we are assigning any value to a certain variable, then actually we'll be evaluating the right hand side to a value, and that value will be stored into the variable. So whatever example is given here, just let us have a look at this. Now initially x is equal to 2. Okay, so and then they are asking to print the value of x. So whenever you are printing the value of x, it will be giving you the result 2. Okay, the next statement we have is y is equal to x. That means whatever the current value of x will be assigned into the variable y. Then print y. So earlier value of x was 2, now it is assigning into the variable y. So definitely now you will again have the result as 2. So the value of variable y is 2. Next we have another new variable, that is z is equal to x plus 1. So earlier we have the value of x is 2. Now z is equal to x plus 1, that means 2 plus 1, and hence we have to print the value of z. So ultimately the value of z will be 3. Okay, now next we have again here x is equal to 5. So again we are reassigning the value to the variable x as 5, and then we have the statement print x. So whatever new value of variable x will be printed again. So basically now the new value of your x variable is 5. Then we have print y. As you know, the value of y is still same because we did not use it anywhere. So again we'll be having the value of y will be printed as 2. Then we have print z. Again we'll be having the same value of variable z as earlier because we did not use or declare the variable z again. So this is how basically assignment will be done to the variables and it will get executed. Let us here move ahead with the basic data types or built-in data types in Python. So here Python will be providing us with the different built-in data types, which includes first as none data type, then we'll be having numeric type, then we have sequences, and then we have sets. But built-in means, now what is the meaning of built-in? So built-in actually means that you need not define any data type for any value explicitly, but Python will take it accordingly, according to the requirement or whatever data you are defining. Automatically Python will declare or take that corresponding data type, which is basically one of the best feature of a Python programming language. Okay, so now let us move ahead with the first built-in data type, that is none type. Now none data type represents an object that does not contain any value. That is what the meaning of none word is, right? So actually it is similar to none object as in Java. None data type will be used inside a function and that will be considered as a default value of the arguments. In Python, at max, you can use only one none object, not more than that. So when you are calling any function without any arguments, then by default, it will be taken as none. Alright. So now what is none means? Nothing. Right. So if we are using none as a data type in Boolean expressions, then it means a false value. Nothing is there. Right. So now I hope you are already aware of Boolean concept. It has only two values. Which values you have in Boolean? You have 0 and 1. These are the only two values that will be considered in Boolean. So which is again same as in a C programming language. The only difference is here in Python we have given the another or the separate name for this particular data type, that is none. Okay, now next we have here is the another data type, that is numeric data type. Now in case of numeric data types we have four different data types here. The first one we have is integer, then we have float, then we have boolean, and then we have complex. Coming to these first three, that is integer, float and boolean, we have already seen it as we have worked with the C programming language. The only thing new is complex. Now that's what we have to see here in this presentation, what exactly this complex means, complex data type means, and how we have to use it in actual programming. Okay, so let us move ahead with one by one numeric data types in Python. So here we have integer data type. Now when we are talking about integer data type, it means it talks about the integer value. Okay, so int data type will be used for both positive as well as negative integer value. That means if you are defining a variable a is equal to 10, then also it will be integer, and if you are declaring or using b is equal to minus 15, in that case also it will be taken as integer data type only. Okay, after that integer we'll have float data type. Now float data type is used to represent floating point numbers. Now what is the meaning of floating point number? Floating point number means the numbers with decimal points or the fraction numbers. Okay, so when you are assigning any particular variable with the decimal fraction, for example num is equal to 123.45. So whenever these kinds of declaration of numbers will be used in programming, then it will be considered as floating point numbers. Moving towards the next data type, we have here boolean data type. Now boolean, the word meaning is two or binary. Okay, so boolean can also be called as binary. Now binary means having two values. So what are those values? One is 0 and another is 1. So when we are talking about boolean data type, it is used to represent boolean values, that is 0 and 1. So where 0 basically stands for false and 1 basically stands for true. So this is how your boolean data type will work in case of your Python programming language. Here we have the another new data type which will be used in Python or provided by Python, that is complex numbers. Now what is this word complex stands for? If you remember, we have already learned this type of numbers in algebra in our schooling, right? So complex is nothing but the combination of real and imaginary components which will be basically used in equation part. So if you remember, let us consider here as an example which is given as 3 plus 2.1j. This is nothing but the example of complex number. Now what is this 3 stands for? 3 stands for basically a real part of the equation, whereas 2.1 will be stands or will be considered as the imaginary part. So will be considered as the imaginary part. So complex number is nothing but the combination of real as well as imaginary components, isn't it? So this is how your complex numbers will work in case of Python. Now here you can see manipulation of numbers. That means here this slide basically represents the various manipulations or operations that will be done in programs like the different operations that will be performed on the variables or the different operands which are going to be used in our programming. So what are all those different manipulations or operations are? The first one we can see here is addition, then we have subtraction, then we have multiplication, then we have division, exponentiation, and then we have modulus. So these are the different operations that can be performed on operands when we are working for Python programming. So we know that many of, now if you see, these are all operations. If you observe here carefully, rest all operations are quite similar to that of C or other programming languages, like you have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? But some of the operations which are marked here in red color basically are quite different, which will be used only in case of Python. So now if you see this particular function, 2 plus 3j minus 5 minus 4j. So if you have to execute it, what result it should give? 2 minus 5, that means minus 3, then 3j plus 4j, that is 7j. So the result will be minus 3 plus 7j. Now coming to here, 7 divided by 2. So this basically double division gives you the truncation, and hence the result will be given into the integer value. Okay, that is nothing but 3. The next we have is exponentiation. That means calculating power of a number. So if you are calculating power 3 for the base 2, okay, that means 2 to the power 3. So actually the result should be 8. But here, as the power is 3.0, your result will be 8.0. So this is how different manipulations or operations will be done in case of Python programming language. Next we have here is built-in functions will be provided by Python. As we have built-in data types in Python, in the same way built-in functions are also getting provided by Python programming language. Now as you can see here, with the help of different examples given, how the different built-in functions basically work in Python. So the first is round function, which is used for rounding of the values. So round of 7.78 will give you the result 8. Now next we have is int function. In int, actually the value is provided as 230.5, which is basically the float value. But now what this int function will do? This int function will convert this float value into basic integer value, and hence the result is 230. Coming to the function float, here the value 230, which is actually the integer value. Now this value will be converted into floating point value. So the result is 230.0. Next we have here is int for the exponential values. That means any exponential value will be basically converted into integer type. Now how exactly this 3e3 will be written in mathematical form? So it will be basically written as 3 into 10 to the power 3. So this means 3 into 1000. So basically the result is 3000. So in this way exponential value will be calculated and displayed in the form of integer type. That is what the use of the function int in bracket 3e3. Next we have the function type. In bracket we have given with the float value. Okay, so what exactly this function will return? This function will return type of the value given into the bracket. So if you see, the value is given as float, as it is a decimal value, right? So in result it will give you float. Now the next again we have here is type 151. So now this value is of which type? Integer. So in result it will display you with the integer. Next we have here is Python. In bracket we have written one word, that is nothing but Python. If you see here carefully, this word is written in a single quote. Now what thing we will write in a single quote? Always we are writing strings into single or double quotes in every language. Okay, strings will always be written into single or double quotes. So when you are writing the type function with the value or the argument given as a string, then definitely it will return you the string type. So in this way, different built-in functions will work in Python. Apart from this, if you see, we have different Python's built-in numeric functions as well. Like we have absolute, ABS, then float, then hex, HEX, which is basically used to calculate hexadecimal number. Now what is the meaning of hexadecimal number? I guess you have already seen in computer architecture and organization probably how to calculate or convert a decimal number to hexadecimal number, or decimal number to octal number, or decimal number to binary number and these kind of different conversions, right? So even for that thing, Python will have its own built-in numeric functions. So if you have to do any conversion of a number, that for example number A, which is in a decimal form, to be converted into hexadecimal form. So what for that purpose, what you have to do, directly you can go for using hex function in Python. So in this way we have long list of different built-in numeric functions in Python. Now apart from this, we do have different trigonometry functions as well that will be provided by your Python programming language. Now if you remember, just now in earlier slide we have seen some of the built-in numeric functions. So here in this slide we can see some of the examples for built-in numeric functions. Now how exactly particular function evaluates here? Now if you see the function range of 6, 18 and 3. Now what exactly it means? It means we have to display the number between 6 to 18 with the difference of C, or with the range of 3, and so our result is 6, 9, 12 and 15, right? Now if we have to make use of the function range and only one value is given 10, nothing is mentioned here, no difference is mentioned, nothing is mentioned, no upper limit, no lower limit. So what we have to do, we have to start the number from 0 and till range is 10. So maximum of 10 numbers will be displayed. So when you write 0 to 9, it will be 10 numbers. Then we have ABS of minus 17, that means absolute of minus 17. So absolute function, what basically it returns? It returns the positive value for the integer. So the result is 17. Then we have another function that is max of 12 and 89. So two numbers are given. In that it will return the maximum of the big number or the maximum number, and that is 89. Next we have here is round of 12.7. So whatever value is given here, it will be rounded up into the result, and that is 13.0. Now why 13.0? Why not only 13? Because the number given here is 12.7, which is a float value, and that's why the result is also in a float. Next we have is HEX, that is hex of 10, and oct of 10. Now both these things will you have to check. Okay, so oct of 10, that is octal for the decimal value 10, that means 10 in decimal to be converted into some octal number. Okay, and the result is 012. Now it's your task to see whether the hexadecimal display of 10 is 0xa and whether the octal display of decimal number 10 is 012 is correct or not. Now you have already done with the number conversion in your computer or architecture and organization subject, so you can easily do it. So this is what the task is assigned to you. Alright. So now here in this way, built-in numeric functions will basically work in case of your Python programming language. Next we have is number type conversions. Now what is the meaning of number type conversion? The name itself suggests that one type of number will be converted into another type. Okay, so Python converts numbers internally in an expression containing mixed types to a common type for evaluation. But sometimes you will need to coerce a number explicitly from one type to another to satisfy the requirements of an operator or a function parameter. So if you are using this function int of x, then it will be used to convert that particular x value to a plain integer. In the same way, you can make use of a long x, then you can make use of a float x, then we can make use of a complex x. Then again we have one more function, that is complex of x comma y, which will be basically used to convert x and y to a complex number with the real part of x and imaginary part of y, where x and y are the numeric expressions. So in this way, in Python, number type conversions will be done. The next data type in Python we have is sequences in Python. Now, sequences represents a group of elements or atoms, like we have array, we have stack, we have linked list, we have queue. Everything we are aware of, right? Everything was there in the C language. So here in Python as well, we have 6 different types of sequences. That is, first one we have is string, then bytes, then byte array, list, tuple and range. So basically now here we have to see the sequences in Python one by one. Let us here start with the very basic data type that will be used in any programming language. That is nothing but a string. Now coming to Python, string is acting as something special data type where strings are immutable sequence of characters or text. Now what is immutable means? Immutable means that particular text which is written as a string is unmodifiable or unchangeable. That means you cannot modify it or you cannot change it. Now once any string object is created, its data or state can't be changed, but a new string object can be created. Now normally string can be inserted in a single quote like this, or maybe in a double quote like this. Okay, so every single or double quotes can also be used inside each other. This will be clear to you once we'll go through the hands-on session where we'll actually practice to use strings in our programs. Then it will be clear to us how exactly strings can be used in our programs. Right now you can see as the example is given here, like we have dog, we have cat. It is specifically written in a double quote and then kept into the single quote separated with the comma. Same thing can be done that both of these strings are written in a single quote and then it kept inside a double quote and separated with a comma. So this is how strings will be working in Python. Then we have escape characters. Now in Python strings, the backslash, that is backslash, is a special character, can also be called as escape characters. Now it is used in representing certain white space characters. Whenever you have to use or you want to use certain white spaces or extra space characters, then in this case you can make use of escape characters in the program. Like for example, /t. Okay, /t can be written or can be used for tab purpose. Then /n can be used for the new line. In the same way, /r can be used for carriage return. And these things you have basically, these are all things you have already seen while doing the C programming language. Even it is quite similar to that. Next we have here is string operators. Now what are all the different operators or operations that can be performed on the strings while programming with Python? Now as you can see here how this plus, that means addition, and how this multiplication will be working with respect to strings. So if you see the example here, the first string will be added into X, that is Mississippi, and the second string, that is river, will be added into Y. Now the third function they have done, or the third operation, is Z is equal to X plus Y. So basically what should happen here? When you are doing Z is equal to X plus Y, this means the value of X and value of Y should be added with each other. So your output should be Mississippi River. Both the words are connected together. But in between, now if you see here how the syntax of Z is written, where X and Y are added with the addition of extra space. So that is the reason if you see Mississippi River, first word Mississippi is given, then one space is there and river. So in this way output will be given. That is nothing but print Z, and Z is the value X plus space then plus Y. Now what is the use of this plus symbol? Plus symbol is used for joining the two strings together. That can be called as concatenation. Okay, now coming to multiplication symbol, as you see here 3 into A. Okay, that means multiply that the letter A with 3. So definitely your result will be display of the letter A for 3 times. So which repeats the character. Multiplication to string definitely repeats the character or repeats that particular word, isn't it? So in this way your different string operations like plus, that is concatenation, and multiplication will work with string. The another data type that is available in Python is nothing but a list. Now what is the meaning of list? List is an ordered collection of objects which is modifiable or mutable. That means we can change it. Now list may contain elements of different types where each of that data will be separated by comma and entire list is kept into square brackets. That means in these kind of a brackets. So whatever elements you want to specify as a part of list, every that atom or element should be kept inside the square brackets. Now if you see the given examples here, the first one is given for the name of rivers. So basically rivers is a list having the number of different names of the river. Alright, so basically it provides the rivers list. The next you have here is X is equal to, one is apple, then comma 3, then comma, in it has one more list inside it. So this kind of a thing can be basically called as multi-type list, where it will be having multiple or different types of elements. If you see, this apple belongs to string element, this 3 belongs to integer value, and this another list consists of float values. So such a kind of list can be called as multi-type list. Alright, fine. Next, we have list indices. Now what is the meaning of list indices? This slide basically defines that how exactly the data items in the list will be given or assigned with the position or location value, which will be basically called as an index. Now if you see here, this is what the list we have. X is equal to river, lake, rock, water and air. So X is basically a list of string. Okay, all the values of a string. Now how that every value will be given with the index value or the location value. So index will be considered in the form of positive value as well as negative value. So when you have to talk about positive index, you should always consider from left to right. So the index for that is river 0, lake 1, rock 2, water 3 and air 4. Alright. But when you are to talk about negative index value, then always the indexing should be done from the last, that is nothing but right to left. So this is -1, then -2, rock -3, lake -4 and river -5. So when you have to perform different operations in order to access the different values or elements or parameters from list, then those results will be given depends on the index value for that particular atom or element within the list. So the first operation, if we have to see x of 2, that means result should be the value or the element to be displayed which is at the second index position. So now you can see here what is the element present at the second index position, that is rock. So the result is rock. Now coming to x of -5. So x at -5, you can see the element as a river. Now here the next we have here is x of colon 3. Okay, I will just write here beside x of colon 3. Now if you see, nothing is mentioned here before colon. So in this case, what will happen? In this case, by default, this initial range value will be taken as 0. Okay, so finally, this has to represent the number of elements that locates between the range of 0 to 3 for the index value. So finally, actually it will not consider the next third value. Okay, basically from 0, 1, 2. Okay, so all the three values, that is nothing but a range. So the result will be, okay, let me show you again. So the result should be for this is all these three values. For what? X of colon 3. Now in the same way, if you are writing x of 3 colon 10, that means the first value of the range should be third and the last is 10. Now as you can see, maximum index value is 4 and we don't have the 10 value. So in that case, it will just simply ignore the next higher range and it will take all the values whatever present there. So in result, basically, okay, so 3 to 10 means starting from 3 ending up to 10, we don't have these many values here in this particular list. So only these two values will be displayed in the result. Coming to 3x of 3 colon, nothing is there. So here starting index is mentioned but the last index is not mentioned. So it will take all the values up to the higher range of index present into that particular list. So again the output will be same, starting from third end at the fourth, that is water and air. So this is how the list indices will be given for the elements that are included as a part of list. Next we have here is tuples. You know, Basically, tuples are similar to lists, but as you have seen already, lists are mutable but tuples are immutable like strings, which can be only created but cannot be changed once it is created. But definitely you can create another string object, but whatever string object has been already created, that can't be changed. In the same way, once the tuple is created, you cannot change it, but definitely you can go for creating the new tuple value. So as we have seen, list will be written in square brackets, but tuples will be written in round brackets. Okay. Normally, what are all different functions and operators that can be performed, operations that can be performed on list can also be performed on tuples. For example, as you can see here, the functions like len, which is used to find out length of a tuple or list, anything. Then minimum number of elements within list or tuple, then maximum number of elements within list or tuple. As well as you can make use of the different operators like addition and multiplication, how it applies on list elements. In the same way, it will be applicable to the tuples when it comes to Python programming language. The last and one of the most important data type in Python is dictionary. Now dictionaries will be created with curly brackets, and it is called as dictionary because they allow mapping from arbitrary objects. For example, words in a dictionary to other sets of arbitrary objects. Even dictionary will have elements of different types, but elements in dictionary will be unordered. Okay, and we have to use keys to point or access values into the dictionary. Now for example, if we have to create any dictionary and I am writing x is equal to in this way, because dictionaries will always be created with curly brackets. So this is called as an empty dictionary, as it doesn't have any values to be mapped with. It can be called as empty dictionary. Now if I have to create a particular dictionary, then for example I will write THIS and dictionary DICT. This is my dictionary is equal to, I have to open the curly bracket, in that I will write brand. Now for that brand key I should have a value, right? So colon, in that I should write what is that brand, for example Ford. Okay, then the another key I have is year. So what does it mean? This means what is the year when this Ford brand came into market or came into use for. So my value is 1964. Okay, so this is my dictionary is. That means one particular key should have one value to map with. Okay, so always remember, when you are creating dictionaries in Python, definitely it will be having the paired values. For one value, definitely some other value should be given. Okay, and if I have to print it, so what I will write? Print of this dictionary, THISDICT. Then what will be my result? My result will be brand Ford and year value is 1964. Okay, anyway, you did not worry. Once we'll do for the hands-on session, definitely we'll have a practice on this creating of list, tuples, dictionaries, etc. Okay, so this is how your dictionaries data type will work in Python. Next we have here operators. Now in Python we'll be having different types of operators that we have already used in other languages like C, C++ and Java. So arithmetic operators, comparison, that means relational operators, then assignment operators, logical operators, bitwise operators, membership operators and identity operators. Now if you see here carefully, I feel you're already aware of these types of operators. The only new operator you can find here for Python is membership operators and identity operators. So let us here now go through one by one for each of the type of operator that can be used in Python. The next we have here is arithmetic operators. We have here addition, we have subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponent and division. That will basically do the truncation of the result. Okay, this thing we have already seen in earlier slides, so I don't think that it is very much important to explain thoroughly. We have already seen it in earlier slides with example, and definitely we will do it in a hands-on session as well. Okay, then we have next Python comparison operators. Here we have equals to, which will equal whether the two values a and b. For example, you are having a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. Then it will verify whether the two operands are equal or not. If it is equal, result is true. If it is not equal, result is false. Because you have to always remember, when you are talking about relational operators, your result should be always in the form of a Boolean value. Either it is true or it is false. So we have here equals to operator, then not equal to, one is greater than and another is less than operator. These are all comparison operators to be used in Python. Next we have here is Python comparison operator. One is greater than or equal to and another is less than or equal to. Okay, then we have Python assignment operators. One is exponent and floor division. Okay. So Python assignment operators, one we have is assigning the values like equals to, like a equals to b or a equals to 10. That means we are assigning the value 10 into variable a. Then we have add, and it adds right operand to the left operand and assign the result to the left operand. Then we have minus equals to. What is that? Subtract, and it subtracts the right operand from the left operand and assign the result to left operand. Then we have multiply equals to. It multiplies the right operand with the left operand and assign the result to the left operand. Then we have divide, and this operator divides left operand with the right operand and assign the result to the left operand. Then we have modulus, and so what this operator will do, it takes modulus using two operands and assign the result to the left operand. Then some of the remaining assignment operators are exponent and a floor division. Already we have seen this. Okay, we'll practice it in a hands-on session. Let us move ahead for the Python bitwise operators. Now for bitwise operator, let us move ahead with the OR gate. Now I hope you have already seen these kinds of OR gates or these kinds of operators or operations like AND, OR, XOR and NOR in digital circuits, isn't it? So this is what the particular table of OR operation. That means if you have to perform OR operation on two different variables like X, OR operation with Y. So the result should be given according to this truth table. When both inputs are 0, 0, result should be 0. When one input is 0 and another input is 1, then the result is always 1. And when both the inputs are 1, even then result will be 1. Then we have bitwise NOT operator. That is, First, whatever value is given to you, let us consider if x is equal to 0, then the result will be, if x is equal to initially 0, then the result will be 1. What we have to do? Not. That means first complement of that value. And if the x is equal to 1, then we have to take the first complement of the value as a result, and that will be 0. Then we have XOR. Again same thing applicable here. This is what the truth table. So same thing has to be applied in the result of the XOR operation, which is called as Python bitwise operator. Then we have binary right shift. Okay, binary right shifts basically stands for shifting of the elements or shifting of the numbers. Now how that shifting will be done? For example, I have a number a is equal to 10100. Now what I have to do? Right shift by 2. That means basically this number I'll be writing in a location. So my number is 10101, for example. Now what exactly I have to do? I have to shift this number to the right by how many places? 2 places. So I will basically start from here. Okay, 1, 2, 3 and 2 places. So this number should be transferred here, that is 1. Then the 0 should be transferred here, 0. 1 to be transferred here, this 0 to be transferred here, and this 1 to be transferred here. And left of the places should be filled with 0. So in this way I have done binary right shift by 2 places. So this is how right shifting and left shifting will be done on any number. Next we have here is different binary operators like binary AND, then we have binary OR, then binary XOR, then we have binary ones complement and binary left shift, then binary right shift. Then we have Python logical operators. What is the meaning of logical operators? When the operations will be done logically and your result will not be in a specific number, where your result will be always in the form of logical value. That means either it is true or it is false. Anything it can be. So in this case, if you are going to perform, now let us consider you have two different operators where one is holding value. For example, A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. So now I have to perform which operation? Logical AND. So what is the rule for logical AND? When both the operands are true, then only result will be true. So in this case, how can I perform 10 and 20? Because I need a result in the form of logical value, right? So first of all, these values to be converted into binary form, and then those values will be compared and hence the result to be found as true or false. Same thing will happen in case of logical OR as well as logical NOT. So this is how logical operators will work in case of Python. Next we have here is Python membership operators. Now when we are talking about Python, this is the new thing which we could not found it with other programming languages like C or C++ or Java. So what is the meaning of Python membership operators? Python membership operators test for membership in a sequence such as strings, lists or tuples. Now there are two membership operators as given here in the list. First we have here is in and not in. Now what is the meaning of this? these kind of functions basically use, or these kind of operators are basically used to identify whether the given particular values are involved in the particular string or list or tuple or a sequence. If it is in the part, then the result will be true. And if those particular operators or those particular values are not present in that given sequence or string or list or tuples, then the result will be false, and it will be displayed that so and so atom, that X not in Y. Okay, so and here not in results in a 1 if X is not a member of sequence of Y. So in this way, in and not in membership operators will be always applicable in case of sequence, strings or list or tuples, not for other things. Next here we have Python identity operators. Identity operators compare the memory locations of two objects. There are two identity operators as explained here. First is the operator that will be used in Python is the word is. Okay, is it itself a operator which will be used as an Python identity operators. Now how it performs that particular task? So it evaluates to true if the variable on either side of the operator point to the same object and false otherwise. That means if the memory location of both the object is same, then only it results into true or 1, otherwise false. Then the another identity operator is not. It evaluates to false if the variables on either side of the operator point to the same object and true otherwise. For example, X is not Y. Here, is not results in 1 if identity of X is not equal to the identity of Y. So in this way, identity operators are basically used to identify whether the memory locations of two objects are equal or not. If it is equal, it results into true value, but if it is not equal, then it results into false value, that is 0. Then this is what the presentation for the basic idea about the Python scripting. Then whatever presentation will be dealing with while hands-on session will have the topics like understanding Python script, importance of code indentation in Python, then working with print and strings, and commenting and use of codes, how exactly we have to write the actual Python scripts, then how code indentation makes sense while writing Python programs, how to write down the print statements along with your strings or list or tuples, etc., how to create dictionaries and all, and then if at all any statement that has to be marked as a comment. What is the comment? Now comment is not the part of, it's not an executable part of a program. So how to write comments in your Python program, everything will be given in the hands-on session. Thank you so much for watching this video. Keep watching the video. In case of any queries, you can contact me for the given mail ID, or you can message or call me personally on the number given here. Thank you so much.